Okay. The following interview is being conducted with Mr. Pedro Pantoja for the Latino Americans 500 Years of History Grant Project at Oklahoma State University. The interview will become part of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program at the Edmond Lowe Library on the Stillwater campus of Oklahoma State University. The interview is taking place on Thursday, September 17th, 2015 in Mr. Pantoja's office in Joplin, Missouri. The interviewer is Victor Domingos Baeza, which is myself, Director of Library Graduate Services. Hello, Mr. Pantoja. How are you?
Thank you. Fine.
Okay, to start with, can you please state your full name and spell your name for the camera?
My name is Pedro Javier Pantoja. I was born in Mexico in October 12, 1936. And I was born in Torreon, Coahuila. It's a medium-sized town at that time, about 150,000 people. And the Torreon is similar to Afghanistan. They get about 4 or 5 inches of rain. And it was very dry and it could be cold. And the main crops or the main way of living in that part of the country was cotton, alfalfa, mines, and cattle. And when I was 15 years old, I used to love to see the crop dusters spraying the cotton. And the guys who were the pilots were very handsome guys from Texas or Texas A&M. And I always wanted to fly a plane. And one time my cousin, he put me in a crop duster plane. For $3 or $2, I went on a trip. I love it. And my neighbor across the street, his father was a pilot and has 2 planes. And he said, I'd be glad to teach you how to fly, but I want for your parents to sign the papers. If an accident, we don't want to be responsible. My father didn't want to sign it. And I was upset. My father was a very nice man. He only went to school 6th grade. And at that time, if you knew how to read and how to count, you have to get a job or have to pay rent. There were no free lunches. So after that time, in those days, everybody wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, or join the Army or the Air Force. So I make my mind that I have to come to the United States. And I have a general who lived across the street who had a farm. And I used to love to go with him to shoot my rifle, 22, to kill rabbits. And he told me, agriculture is the future of America. They say, all Latin America and United States, agriculture is the #1. And he encouraged me to come to the United States and join the Air Force. When I finished high school, I went to Monterrey Tech because you have to go 2 years before college to be sure that you know what the hell you want to do. I went over there and I like it, but I started playing basketball. And the last year I flunked. So I have to decide what to do. And a cousin of mine came to see us in Mexico City, and he has going to Texas A&M and he has the uniform. He said, God, Americans, you don't believe it. I don't know if these guys are dummies or they are too nice. They give you money to go in ROTC, they pay for your college, and you go 2 years in the Army. It's a picnic. So that got into my mind, so I said, I have to go. I was very lucky. When I decided I was going to go, I started saving money. I sold my shotgun, my 22, and my father said, I believe that your brain has been damaged, or you are a mongoloid, because it doesn't make sense for you to go overseas, go to a foreign country, learn a foreign language when you have 3 meals a day and go free to college. He said, no, I have to go. Because my father was like the old days. The father tells you what to do, and her family has to do everything what he said. So I said, no, I'm going to go. And I have a very protected life because we play baseball in the streets, we sit down outside when the full moon, and everybody knew each other. And when I told my people I was going to the United States, people thought I was crazy too. And I have a friend who his father was an agricultural man, and we decided to come together. So we went to summer school and we take English classes, basic, so we can have something. When I was in the summer school, the teacher who was teaching us English, he told me, if you go to the United States, you have to memorize this piece of paper. And if you go to the American Embassy in Monterrey, tell them that you want to get a student visa, and they're going to give you that piece of paper, and if you memorize it, they give you the stamp. So I did. So we practiced for a month. So we learned how to read that paper, and when I went to Monterrey Embassy, they said, do you understand English? I said, well, no, but I can a little bit, not too much. So I said, can you read this piece of paper? It was the same paper the teacher got. I have my visa. Now, I have to find a college who can accept me. So it took me about 6 months. And I sent applications all over the United States. And I remember I got an application from Canada. In those days, Canada was willing to take students. And I got another application from Wisconsin, another application from Oklahoma, Connors State College. And I want to go Oklahoma because in those days, all the Mexicans go to California, Texas, or Chicago. That was the melting point of the Mexican. So I said, and also I like Oklahoma because if it's not too far away, I can always take the bus back. So I got a letter, they accept me. They said, you're welcome to come to Oklahoma. So great. So I remember, I will never forget, I crossed the border August 28th in Laredo, Texas. My father worked for the railroad, so I got a pass, free tickets in the United States, but my father said, if you go to the United States, he talked to the psychology man and he said, your son is okay, he's not retarded, he's okay. So he said, God bless you, but you can always come back. So I decided to go to the United States. And I crossed the border. I took the Greyhound bus from Torreon to Monterrey, and in Monterrey I take the train to Laredo. I crossed the border in Laredo, and it was the Kansas City Railroad. And I went in the scenic car that was in the back of the train. At that time was all the kids from Korea were coming back. So they were in the train drinking beer and everybody was happy, so I enjoyed. When we get to Dallas, I have to take a train the next morning to Oklahoma. So I went to the YMCA and I stayed over there. I think it was $5 a night or $3, you know. And I want to go to see the aeroplane factory who make the Sabres, the jet planes in Vietnam. It was a huge place. So I went over there. I have a good time, come back, stay in the YMCA. And the next morning, I took a train, supposed to go to Muskogee or Reno, Oklahoma, and I took the train to Reno, Nevada. And it was Friday. So, half an hour later, he come the conductor and he said, "You're on the wrong train. You have to get off." And that was Friday about 2 o'clock. I get off from this place. It was nobody. And they said, "The next train is until Monday. They don't come." So I used to hitchhike in Mexico too. So first thing in my mind, I only have with me a little bag with the basic things. So I hitchhiked. First thing, the highway patrol stopped me. And I said, "What the hell are you doing here in the middle of nowhere?" He said, "Well, I'm going to school, but remember, I can barely speak English. I carry with me a small pocket dictionary. I have it." And I showed them the letter that I had been accepted outside of Muskogee, Warner. So the police took me to the railroad station, Continental, and they even bought me a hamburger. And they went with me, and they told the people in the station, the Continental, "Be sure that this goddamn kid doesn't get off of the bus. He's going to Warner, Oklahoma. Drop it over there." So I got in the bus, and we get to Warner, Oklahoma about 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't have only my little luggage and maybe $100 in my pocket or less. So I start walking, and the dogs start to chase me. This is what I didn't like, big dogs.
And what year was this?
57, August 28th, Warner, Oklahoma. And I stand in a little motel. They have 3 rooms or 4 rooms, and the room was at the end of the hall. And I think it was $5 or $6. So that was Saturday. I wake up, middle of nowhere. Warner, Oklahoma used to be 800 people or something like that. So Saturday morning, I went to the gas station, got a Coke, and they have a convenience, a general store. They sell blue jeans, clothes, everything. But it didn't open until 11 or 10 o'clock on Sundays or Saturdays. So the guy, he said, "Where are you going to school?" I said, "Connors, but it's closed until Monday because it's after Labor Day or something." He said, "Why don't you stay with me?" A guy from the gas station, a little poor guy, and we went to his house, and my God, I remember the mildew, the smell. And he fixed supper for me. I remember it was a hamburger or some kind of stew. And next morning I went back to him, to the gas station. I sit down with him until noon. And after I went to the store to buy me a pair of blue jeans and clean underwear because I had been with the same clothes for almost 3 days. And it's funny, I start talking to this couple, and the couple, they said, "Are you Mexican?" He said, "Yes." "Oh my God, well, congratulations. Mexico has won the championships, Little League." And I said, "We love that, the baseball, the pitcher. That guy is smart. He can pitch with the right and with the left." And they asked me the same question, "Where are you staying?" He said, "Well, I don't know. I'm supposed to stay in the dorm, but they don't open until Monday or Tuesday." So the guy, he said, "My son is in Korea. Why don't you stay with us? And you can stay as long as you want to." I went with those people. Remember, I am 19 years old, dummy, ignorant. Well, I used to think that I was fast, but I was. And after the guy, he said, "Why don't you stay with us and you can work with me during the weekends? I am a carpenter and I remodel houses, and you can help me to carry the boards and all that." So I said, "Well, it's okay." So I have to get up every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. You have to have 2 fried eggs, bacon, and gravy. They don't ask you that, you have to eat it. I hate the gravy. So I hitchhiked to Connors. It was about 2 miles, but in those days everybody hitchhiked. So I hitchhiked, I went to the dorm and I met this lady, his name I will never forget, Ma Wilson. She was about 65-year-old widow, and I think she felt sorry for me. And after, he said, well, I'm staying with this family and I'm commuting. And he said, okay. After 1 week or 2 weeks, she called me back and she says, you know, I need a houseboy. I need a guy over here who can clean the TV room, and also he can clean the halls and the showers. You have to do it every day. You have to sweep it and go into the restroom, be sure they're clean. And every Saturday you have to polish the halls, clean the restrooms, and everything is right. And the television room, you have to take the, everybody smoked in those days. Everybody smoked, and everybody was bonanza, have gone with trouble. And in those days, people have gone in the rooms. It was nothing. Everybody has a gun and a shotgun. And sometimes in the fall, they have a 55-gallon barrel, and they have cookouts with rabbits or whatever they have killed. And the guys practice fast drawing in the dorm. So, but they were friendly. Everybody was friendly, but everybody worked. I believe I was the first Mexican in that place. But everybody kidding me, you know. They said, do you have a burro? or they said, how much bean do you eat? Because in Mexico you have bean for breakfast, bean for supper, and bean for supper. So I survived 2 years over there, and when I was over there, I never have a Coke, or I never have a candy bar. I was saving my money. And after working during the weekends, I get my free room on board, so that was great. And after, all the kids who work in the cafeteria, people who go Friday, Saturday, and come back Sunday, I work for those guys, and they give me 59 cents to $1 an hour. So I went back and worked in the kitchen. And after, I got another job, take care of the student hall, the student union. It was a room like this, 2 pool tables, and the what do you call where you put the music?
Jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox. Oh, hell, so I played ping pong every weekend. I was the best. And after, I learned how to use the machine sometimes. You put a scotch tape and you put a quarter and bring it back. So everybody loved me because we can dance all night, you know. So my second year, it was better. But I have very good teachers. And but you have to study. My Wilson, he take care of me, and also the lady in the library. I forgot her name, but I will give it to you later, because I work every day and I spend every day 2 hours in the library, and I have to study. And remember, I was learning English, and the schools in Mexico, I think they were ahead of the United States, because when I was in Mexico, I have to take algebra, I have to take Greek, I have to take Latin. So my main problem was to memorize and to learn the lessons. And I finished the first 2 years with maybe 3.1 average. But they were fantastic teachers. Everybody took care of me. And after, I was also involved with my roommate. I never forgot that guy, Harley Reno. He was great. And he has a camera. He went to Oklahoma State too. And my other roommate was Clarence D. Prince from Tulsa. And my roommate used to go Tulsa every weekend, so I stayed with him. And I had the room by myself, so I love it. And I was going to the kitchen, get my free food, and also I get also my free dancing and all that. So I have a good time. After 2 years, Mrs. Wilson knew people in Oklahoma State, but Mrs. Wilson, he has been around. Mrs. Wilson has been born in a wagon in Oklahoma, and his husband used to trade with the Indians. And so he knew, and the first thing he said to me, tell them that you are Indian, and this way you don't have to pay outside of state tuition. So I told them I was Indian. They said, Mexican Indian. It's okay, no problem. So I didn't have to pay state tuition, only paid regular tuition. So that was great. When I went to college, I also got a job in a state park called Western Hills Lodge. It was a beautiful place, the first state park of Oklahoma. Edmondson was the governor. All the politicians were there. I met all kinds of politicians there, and we have a club. And I become a bartender because I was cook and a bartender, and I didn't like to be waiters because it was too fast and you have to take orders.
And where was this?
Western Hill Lodge. I will give you a brochure so you can see it.
And where is this?
It's in Fort Gibson, Oklahoma. Beautiful park. Oh my! They have a landing strip, and the nightclub was fantastic. They have booze, and all those politicians come over there with his secretaries, and first thing they said, whatever you see over here, you don't talk to nobody. And they give me a free room, and they give me my landing, my food, so I saved all my money. When I went to college, I never bought towels, I never bought wash rag or soap. I bring everything from the hotel. It was free. And in 1960, I became the maitre d', and I met my wife. I was really like over there, people were friendly, easygoing. And I remember one time, the guy who ran the private club was a very handsome guy, blonde eyes, and he has a convertible. Oh my God, it was great, and all the kids, all were college kids working over there. But one day he said, tomorrow we are going to paint the building, don't come, the place caught on fire. So we never thought nothing about those things, you know. And so I went to Oklahoma State, and my house mother knew somebody, and I got a job working in the cafeteria. And my roommate from Connors went over there to Clarence D. Prince. We were room together, and this other fellow, Harley Reno, he was my hero. I called them the Wasps. He was blue eyes, blonde, he can talk to everybody, and he really made me mad because he make a straight A's, and he never studied. He used to memorize the day before, and I had to study 2-3 hours to make a B, you know. And so I worked in the cafeteria. My first job was a pig. A pig is the guy who pick up, they bring the dishes in a tray and you put it in the dishwasher. So the first 3 months I was a pig. And you know, it was a job. I every morning from 7 to 8 o'clock I wash dishes, and after I come back in the afternoon from 5 o'clock to 6 or 7 or 6, 5 to 6. So I work over there 59 cents an hour. That was a good job. From there in the kitchen I was promoted to vegetable man, the guy who opened the cans and you put the vegetables over there. So that was easy. And you serve the food. In those days, it was like the army. You had soup, vegetables, and a steak or hamburger meat, and a little bit jello. That is all. From there, I was promoted to the meats. I had to cook the meat, and Cordell Hall used to have about 1,000 people. So I knew all those people over there, you know. And after, the best job was to become a milkman. A milkman should serve the milk. And I become a milkman at the end because you don't get dirty. You just got the milk and talk to the guys, and everything was bullshitting. And the maximum job, I only have it for a few weeks. That was the guy who punched the cars. That was the best job. Next, next. And every Sunday, I love it because they have bacon and pancakes. The only ones that once a week, and I love it. And half of the kids didn't go to the dorm on Sunday because they want to sleep late. So that was an experience. And also, in my senior year, I was taking calculus, physics, qualitative chemistry, and every day you have lab. And you finish at 4 o'clock. Finally, I met a guy from, I think it's Kappa Alpha. I forgot his name. He said, I think you're stupid. You're a senior. You should take easy classes. Why don't you take home economics, take a speech, and take photography, and take mineralogy. Mineralogy is about the weather, and the guy is easy. You don't have a test. You have a... So I took mineralogy, and that was the only class I flunked because they changed the teacher. And if you know mineralogy, it's between chemistry, physics, and environment, and you can never predict the weather. So I have to make big reports. I flunk. Even my wife, I met her, and she tried to make the report for me. When I was a senior, I started to get worried because I have a job in Western Hill Lodge, and I was working during the weekends as a maitre d' making more money. And after I realized, I said, I have to find a job. Otherwise, what the hell I'm going to do? And I talked to my advisor, and I have a good friend, is still alive, Richard Price. He used to be the director of the entomology and my teacher on insect physiology. And the guy, he said, nah, if you're getting smart, when you realize that you're dumb, that is the beginning of the new life. So my wife, I didn't have a wife. I have a girlfriend, and she lives in Tulsa. I only see her maybe once a month. And she helped me to make my resumes. And my teacher, entomology, he helped me to get a job with FMC in New York. First, I was thinking to go to FMC Florida or FMC New York, and I was also interviewed with Occidental Petroleum and to California. And also, I was interviewed by, I think the company was Magdashin. They were Jewish. And they have said, well, we would like for you to go to work in Israel, the training grounds of South Africa, and after we may send you to South America, but we don't know. So I applied for those jobs.
So before we go into your career,
Yeah,
can we go back to Oklahoma State University?
yeah.
So when you first got to campus, how did you choose the classes you were going to take?
Because my house mother knew the people in Cordell Hall, and they said you should live in Cordell Hall because we have a cafeteria in the basement. And in this way you can go to school and only go downstairs, you don't have to go out. So that was fantastic. And also, when I took home economics for men, that was the best class I ever had because they teach you how to dress, how to coordinate your clothes, and we have to have a date once a month. You have to invite a girl and bring her over there and socialize and make conversation. And still, when I go to a party, I see people eating and really blow my mind when people pick up the fork like this. And I couldn't believe it. And after, you have to know how to take the plate from the right to the left and how to put your silverware. And also, I have to take when I took photography, you have to take pictures. I have to take pictures of the football. I have to take pictures of girls and different things. And after you write a report, who are those people? So I love it because I have to go to the football games and I go in and free, but I used to have my student visa and I used to sell my student visa to people who want to see the games and they don't have to pay the price. So they give me $2-3, it's fine. And so that was great. And also I remember that all these girls, I take pictures and they said, well, you need to have a cup of coffee so I can interview you who you are. But I never went steady when I was in Oklahoma because I want to finish college. Because when I was in Mexico, I had a girlfriend, and I think that was also a problem. That his father, one time he said, you have been dating my girl for 2 years, and the youngest daughter, who is 17 or 18, is going to get married. I would like for my two daughters to get married together. And I get you a job. He was a salesman for Caterpillar. And I said to the guy, I never forgot what I told the guy. He said, I can't even take care of myself. How can I want to take care of your wife, of your daughter? And this is why the reason that when I was in college, I didn't have a steady girlfriend. I have one girl who teach me English. I have another girl who wash my clothes, and the other girl who teach me dancing. But everybody liked. I just took my house mother. She was great. My house mother. Sometimes we have the Valentine's Day, so home economic day, and all that. And she used to say to me, Betty Lou he's dying to go to the dance, but she doesn't have a partner. And she'd be glad to buy the tickets if you take her. I take her, because this way they pay for the ticket and I take the kids for dancing. We have a good time. And but that was my life in the weekends. Play ping pong and talk to the kids and fool around.
So, were there other Mexican students or other Hispanic
there
students
were
at
no
Oklahoma
Mexicans.
State?
But it's really spooky. I don't know if you should put in the paper on that. The football players and the basketball players, all they were white. And I had a chance, when I took physical education, I used to play basketball in Mexico. So the guy, he said, oh, you are good. Would you like to come to play with us in the team? He said, well, yes, I would love to. He said, but you cannot have room on board because you are no American. I said, well, no, because you have to practice every day. You have to study and you have to, no, I can't play. So I changed my mind. And but that was a good option. So I really think that Oklahoma is a different place. It's not like California, or it's not like Chicago or Atlanta. And when I was a senior in college, I started to run out of money. And from the beginning, I tried to go in the ROTC. I signed for the ROTC, and after I have signed it, they said, but you are no American Indian. You have to be Indian or be American citizen, because they used to give you a uniform at $25 a month. So that was good money in those days. So I never go to the ROTC. When I was a senior, I was interviewed by the Army and the CIA. They want to send me to Cuba. They said, we have special forces, and at that time, you were talking $900 a month in the Army. That was big money. And he said, we send you to school for about 6 months, and after we send you to Cuba, and after your job is to transmit information what is going over there. And 2 of my friends, they went. I never hear from them anymore. So I changed my mind, because somebody, Mrs. Wilson, have a friend, and I got a check $40,000 the last semester. And after, the guy, he said, you don't have to pay me back, but you have to help somebody like you to go to school. You know?
And who was this?
Yeah.
Who was the man who gave you that?
I don't even know the name. I think it was Renfro. But Mrs. Wilson, his son was a district attorney in Muskogee. And he was a very influential man, but he was very discreet. And I think Mrs. Wilson knew all those politicians. He knew Edmondson, the Speaker of the House, and also she bought me, when I took music appreciation, they have a special class that I took to, where they teach you about music, painting, and art. And I'm still pushing that everybody should. She bought me a ticket for Philbrook Museum to go in a bus to watch the opera for the season. I couldn't believe it. And when I went to Philbrook Museum, Mrs. Wilson knew the original owners of that place. And she said, you know, this guy was better salesman than my husband, because we trade with the Indians for coats, or we trade for blankets, or seeds, or guns. Or he used to have a farm. But this guy who owned the Philbrook, this is what she told me, I don't know, she make a ton of money selling the skins of the buffalo and the foxes to Russia and France. And it's where he make the money. And if you go, it's closed now. Part of the Philbrook Museum in the back was like a glass for dancing. And it was unreal. I am still member of the Philbrook because of that. And for me, it's a beautiful place.
So while you were at Oklahoma State, in fact, what years were you at Oklahoma
In
State?
Oklahoma State from 1959 to 61.
What is your fondest memory of being at Oklahoma State?
I like the memories working in the kitchen and living in Cordell Hall. Everybody get together in the morning. Every day I learned the habit to read the paper. And it's funny because I love the Godfather, and he was a ex-foreign legionnaire. And he keep an eye on me all the time. And he used to tell me, you be sure that you read the paper every day so you know what the hell is going on. And I read it also, paper. And I met my wife in the summer of 1960 in Western Hills. And we become friends because she has 2 kids and I didn't have wheels and she has a car. And after she gave me rides, whatever I wanted. And after we have a friend, still my foster, who has a boat, a Fort Gibson Queen. And I used to be with him, bartender or helping over there. And everybody helped each other. And the first time I went to New Zealand, it was the same. I got the impression I was in Muskogee. The farmers live in a farm and they don't have Mexican labor. They have to do the work themselves. And I felt like I was in Muskogee. Small buildings, beautiful weather, and easy life. If I have another chance to live, I would like to go back to Australia or New Zealand. New Zealand was beautiful. My wife went over there with me and she loved it. But also what I like of Oklahoma State, that I never saw beating each other, nobody abused nobody. The only thing that we didn't like, I remember, was the guys from Norman. When they play the game, they always beat Oklahoma State. But I remember one time, they were staying in the student union dorm, and the guys from the agricultural department put a bull in the elevator.
In which building?
At the elevator of the student union. through the door when the guys were over there. But otherwise, everything was fun. Everything was great. And the student union, everybody danced from 11 o'clock to midnight, and ping pong because it was free, or pool tables. But pool tables were 25 cents. But the tennis, the pool table was free. So that's all.
Were there a lot of international students back
Yeah.
then?
At that time, we have a lot of students. I met another couple of Mexicans, and this guy from Panama, Rolando Porras, and I don't know what happened to him. And I tried to find my roommate, Clarence D. Prince, but I haven't been able to find it. So that was in 1961, and I proposed to my wife to get married in December of 1960. So I got a job in New York. I was supposed to be in New York September the 1st of 1961. They gave me the paper, and I took American Airlines first class from Tulsa to St. Louis, New York. And I met a guy, my boss, he was an Italian guy. His name was Bob Cacella. And he said, you know, I like you, but don't make you mine. We took me for dinner, half a glass of wine. And he said, you know, I'm going to pay you for you to stay in New York Saturday, and you can go back on Sunday. So tomorrow, you are free, we pay for your hotel. And I went to Broadway, I went to Grand Central, I had a blast. And then the plane, I couldn't believe it, you know, first class, beautiful girls. Half of the plane was full, empty, and everybody was efficient. So I thought I had died, gone to heaven, you know. So Monday I called back my boss, Bob Cacella, and said, I take the job. The deal was that I have to go to New York for 2 years, and they were going to send me back to Mexico City because they have a plant over there and an office. And my boss, my immediate boss, was from Cuba. And he went to Spain as a manager. So after 2 years, they told me, would you like to be the manager for Latin America? It's a deal. So for 2 years, I didn't travel. I go to Niagara Falls, I went to Jacksonville, and they teach me how to use herbicides and insecticides. I was a technical advisor. That was my first job, technical advisor, to tell the agents how to use the product. After a year and a half, my boss, he says, you know, this is the salary of the salesman, the marketing people. This is the price of the technical people. I think you should be in sales. Forget technical sales. You know how to sell the product on sales. So I switched to sales. And that was the best profession I ever had. And I never forgot Nicaragua. I thought it was the most beautiful place in the world. And you don't remember, but in the old days, used to be a song called Managua, Nicaragua, what a wonderful place. And my father used to play that song in the beach, and the Grand Hotel in Managua is like you were in Casablanca. All little rooms, but they have a parrot and a monkey and a piano. And Saturday after 3 o'clock, nobody worked. They went over there and they have music and drinks, and it was like a Casablanca, and anything go. And my agent, I never forgot his name, was Bill McGuire. He was a guy from California. In those days, everybody was wasp. Everything was. And he knew everybody in town. And his son was going to be a pilot, and he knows Somoza. And those days we sell cotton dolls. That was methyl parathion, DDT, toxaphene, and you spray the cotton fields, and they were huge. And it was big money, and they used to apply it in Nicaragua 18 or 20 times insecticide a year. And I used to flag the planes, and I didn't have a mask. You have those pictures that you see, nobody wear about a hats or go, everything was natural. And I never forgot in Africa or some places in Dominican Republic, I better don't mention those places. We used to go to the drugstores and we sell DDT. And in those days, half of the Johnson powder, you take it off and you put powdered DDT, and that was good for the fleas. And everybody used it. It was no problem. And after, we used to sell red phosphorus to make matches. And one time, flying from Panama or New York to, I think, Brazil, I met a guy from Bayer Chemical. That was the biggest, still is the biggest company selling pesticides. And I remember we were in Brazil, and he said, why don't we have supper together? I want to take you. It's my last trip. He was about 64, 68 years old. He said, I never forgot Mexico. I think Mexico for me was the most exciting place I have been in my life. First time I went to Mexico, I went to San Diego, and after I took a train from El Paso to Mexico City. And you are talking 1910 or 1915. And when you buy your ticket, it was $12. You have to buy a rifle, a 30-30 and a box of bullets, because the bandits used to attack the train. And when you go to Mexico City, you keep the rifle and you get your money back. And you travel for 6 months. And everything, it was big cases, and you have to have sample, and you have to have, there's a booth, and you bring the agents to the room, and you offer the drink, and you show them what are you selling. And they pay you with gold or letters of credit. You're talking 1920. So I was ahead. They were so ahead of our time. But I think that the American companies have done a fantastic job.
So what years were these?
This guy from Bayer, he was talking about 1910 to 1915, going to sell Bayer products. And they were selling insecticides, or they were selling matches, phosphorus, medicine. It was a big business.
And when was he telling you this?
And he said that he traveled in 1910 to 1930, and his trips were for 5 months. And he carried 10 more train cases, big ones, like suitcases, with samples, so people can see it. And hardware, hardware was a big business.
And that's the job you started doing?
Yeah. And it's what I learned, that you can sell anything if you have the right connection. You can sell it. When I bought my store, I didn't have a job. I was selling second-hand Cummins Dixons in Mexico, batteries. I was selling second-hand overalls, anything that you can make a living. But that was what keeps you alive. This is, for me, I think marketing and selling is the backbone of America. I don't know if you have been in Santa Fe, in the museum. Have you been there? I love that place, because they said in those days, the frontier, the traveling salesman, the guys who sell weapons to the Indians, bullets, medicine, food, and also you have the ladies of bad repute, because you have to keep men happy on the road, and also the politicians. The politicians can sell you anything, they promise you everything, and they don't give you nothing. Nothing has changed. Everything is the same. And the connection. You have to have connections and talk to people, because everybody's different. But I really think that the reason I succeed in my business is because I have all German immigrants who came to Ellie Islands, and they went through a lot of hard life. And one of these friends of mine, he became the president of American Salesman, and he was my teacher, and he was very strict. And he used to tell me, you have to save money. If you don't have money, you cannot make right decisions. If you become a big shot, you have to have money, and don't be afraid to tell the truth to the company. So I learned that. And sometimes when I ask the Mexicans, where did you see yourself 10 years from now? They don't know.
You're talking about the Mexicans that you see now?
Yeah. But when I travel Africa, I love it. I think all the people are the same. When I was in Africa, I love it. I think that Africa is the last frontier too. Because when I used to travel, I used to go to Nicaragua, Chile, Bolivia, Congo, Tanzania, Cameroon, all these places that Americans don't want to go. Because the Americans, they feel we have to go to Japan, we have to go to France, Germany, civilized countries. But I have been in places that, in Corinto, Nicaragua, we stayed in a hotel with no doors. The doors were like the bar. When I got up in the morning, 5 o'clock, the chickens in the place, the roosters, and no air condition. And when I was in Colombia, the same, and in Guatemala. For me, one of the best experiences was Guatemala. My agent was a German immigrant, and he changed his name to Pancho Gross, so he can look like a native. And we met a Catholic priest in Quesaltenango, nice guy from Boston. So we start talking because the Peace Corps were involved. For me, the Peace Corps are the best. I think we should have more of those people. So we make a deal with a Catholic priest. I said, why don't we come over here on Sunday, and we will bring little samples of insecticide, or it was fertilizers. I was with Olin Matheson, little bags of fertilizers, and after that bring a little pad and a pencil. And I never forgot, Union Carbide, they sell insecticide 7, that it was non-toxic, it was more powerful but not as bad as DDT. And after the church at 10 o'clock, we went over there, and after we give so much money to the priests so they can buy potato chips or cokes or anything, and after we make a hole with a cane, and we put a seed of corn, and we put fertilizer and 7 and water, and teach the kids how to plant the plants, and they love it. And after the Catholic priest, with my agent, he said, why don't you put a fertilizer here on consignment, and I sell it to the farmers at cost. So we have a business going. But the local government, he said that we were communists.
So what years was this?
I think that was 1975. And at that time, everything was revolutions and everything. And they kicked the Catholic priest out of it because they thought that he was communist, because he was giving fertilizers free, because the local government controlled the fertilizers deals. That was in the old days. So that was an experience. That for me, I never forgot. That was an experience. The other experience was like I said, one time we were in Guatemala, and we were going to the port, and people stop you for no reason at all. And they said, we are the freedom fighters or something. What do you have? He said, well, I don't have any money. I only have maybe 10, 20 bucks. He said, but I give you $10 and a bottle of booze that I have from my agent. Okay, fine, let's go. Let you go. But my agent in Guatemala was killed by the rebel. My agent in Colombia, it was Cabarria. He was killed when he landed his plane in the farm because he didn't pay taxes to the rebels. And my agent in Mexico, don't mention his name or company, he was kidnapped for almost 3 months. And he has to pay $500,000 because that is the way of life. You have to play it with the right and left, and everybody has to live, survive. Otherwise, nothing moves.
So these were all local agents that you hired?
Yeah, my philosophy was to have 3 or 4 agents every year. I start with FMC. FMC was the best, and all in Madison. But when I went with Kennecott, we have, like I said, they have Shell, they have ICI, and they were great companies. I always look for Bayer. Bayer was my competitor. So wherever Bayer has an office, I try to find an agent over there because they have a similar product like mine. And Bayer, for me, was the best. But my philosophy was you take away 20% of the business of the market and then let it go free. But if you take more, Bayer lowered the prices, and after Bayer used to give 180 days credit. I was selling cash, 90 days, 120 days draft, and we did a lot of business with Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, and those guys are a different breed of people. And when I went, I remember Morocco, the guy was fantastic, and he said, well, you have to sign this piece of paper to be my agent, that you promise to buy so much material every year, and the trademark and the registration are mine. And the guy, he said, if I have to sign the paper, I don't want to do business. I trust you. If we shake hands, I will do it. But if you sign the paper, I will not do it. So I didn't have papers in Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt. We didn't have because they were different people. They were Muslims. I'm sorry to mention that word. They were no Christians. But they are the same. Everybody wants to make a living. They want to make money. And so I try to get 3 or 4 agents every year. So I become more and more. At the end, I have 90 agents. We sold the company 3 times. Now, what used to be COSI, Kennecott, and Actual, COSI, Kennecott was sold to DuPont. Now DuPont sold it to the company in Chile, to Chemetal, my first customer. I used to buy products from them in 1961. And after the other company, Actron, was sold to people in Australia, my agent, New Farm, Australian company. But everything is the same. And when I travel, I used to give to my people a silver dollar and a pocket knife. And I said, that is the meaning. He said, we work for the junkie dollar and the knife, I hope that we can cut a deal. Anything I can do to help you, I'd be glad to. And I love Icoca. I met him one time in St. Louis with our senator, and he was pushing the same. He said, America can do anything if you have the right incentives. And this is when they come with the rebate. You buy a car, I give you $1,000, and you use the $1,000 as down payment to get a car. And you take 6 years to pay for the car. It's the same. You have to help people to make a dime. They love you. And also, I used to give them my business card with a lead water and $1. And I used to tell people, $1 is not enough. You need to have too many dollars inside the box, but you have to sell. If you don't sell, you don't get more commissions.
So where were you living during this whole time?
In Joplin. I spent, in '72, I went with Kennecott, but I was afraid. I was really scared the second time I lost my job. I was with Transammonia. It was trading company. But when I was with Hooker, they gave me 6 months, and they gave me a secretary, my telephone, plus we used to have a psychologist so you can talk to him, so you relax and tell you how to do your resume. I never forgot, I sent 800 resumes, and you only get 3 or 5% interviews. And now it's very difficult because now everything is in the internet and people don't have to see you face to face. And if you, like I tell people right now, don't have tattoos and don't gain too much weight and take a picture from here up when you applied and tell your background, your hobbies, and what have you done in life. But it's very difficult the second time. And the second time they let me off, I survived 6 months or 7 months. But I call them the traders are the professionals. The US traders, they give you a desk and a telephone, expense account, and you're on. You do whatever you want to. If you want to go to Europe, you go to Europe. If you don't want to work, you don't come to work. But the guy said to you, I never forgot that. He said, that telephone is mine. That desk is mine. The credit card is mine. And at the end of the month, all what I ask for you is to have 5 to 10% profit for me. I don't care if you ever come to work. But money is the currency that a monkey dance. If you cannot make money, we don't need you. And I survived 6 months. That is pressure. That is pressure. But Kennecott was very good because my boss, we clicked. And after one day, I said to him, before, when I was laid off the second time or the first time, people cried. I couldn't believe that people cried because if you lose your job in those days, you were dead, especially if you are 54. What happened to Aaron and Texas is horrible. That you work for them 30 years, 40, and the company declared bankruptcy, and you don't have a pension plan. And always want to have something on my own. And my boss, Herb Lawrence, he says, you always have to save money. Don't put your eggs all in one basket. Always have security, because you never know what is going to happen. And when I met my guy from Joplin, people don't have idea what is going right now in Palestine or in Jordan. In those days, if you work in the Gaza Strip, every day to cross the border, it costs you $1,500 to cross, cash. And the guy, he says, you need to have a solid Rolex watch, $34,000. Or you need to carry with you $5,000 to $10,000 in your wallet, because you don't know if you are coming back. One day, he said, I went back, they demolished my office and my house and the Gaza Strip. So he has to move to Israel. And people don't understand those things. What is going right now in the Middle East is horrible. But it's because we don't have nobody who tell other people what to do. And like I said, I learned that long time ago, that you have to be productive and you have to take care of your family. I love my wife, and like I said, I give you an article. We have been married 54 years, and like I told people, we are so different, but it's a complement each other. It's like, I told my wife, we are like a magnet. I am positive, you are negative, but I can only be as good as my wife, because positive, they get together. And my kids are a success. They don't ask me for money. But since they were kids, I teach them to work. They have to cut the grass, we paint the house together, we do everything together, and they're a success. And we used to have breakfast together, supper together when I commute. And when I was in Mexico, we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And it's the time that you can talk to your family, what is going on. And now I see a lot of kids that they never have supper together or lunch together because the mother worked, she worked, and they are not on the same schedule.
So, where is your wife from?
My wife is from Joplin, Missouri. This is why we came here. When I left New York, you need to have a mailing address for insurance. Otherwise, you're dead. And we sold all that junk. So we drove a 10-ton truck, and I have a little van in the back. My other son drove a fastback, Volkswagen, and my wife drove a Comet convertible with Michael, like gypsies. And we came over here and I stayed with my mother-in-law for July, August, September, October, and after I got a job with Kennecott. And Kennecott, they offered me a job as a director international, and I took it for 1 year, but after I said, you know, I need to go back because I have some business over there, and I make a deal. Give me 0.5% of my salary, and the other 0.5% is for traveling, and if I sell, you give me a small commission. And the boss, he was another German immigrant. He said, it's a deal. We shook hands. He said, but if you double cross me, I kick your balls. And we become friends, and it's amazing that these people, they were immigrants. One was from New York, Nobel Chemical. He said, if you ever need money to start your own business, go to the synagogue and give my name, and I co-sign the note. And this other guy, J. Wilson, when I came over here and started, he said, if you ever start your business, I'll lend you money. Let's go to do something different. But you know, and when I have my store, I have sent maybe more than 12, 13 kids to college, and I lend them money, but you have to pay interest. I call them the Godfather family. We have to keep the family together. And if you have an idea, I'll lend you money. And I remember one guy who got a Volkswagen to sell hot dogs and something like that. And after, we used to sponsor with the Kappa Alpha and the Animal House, we used to sponsor the 24 hours or 48 hours marathon dancing. That was great.
What school is this with?
At Missouri Southern. And all the college kids, we were invited to the toga party, the Godfather party, and after they have one time Parents' Day, and they dedicated football game from my wife, and they won. Okay, so that was good. But you know, I love college kids, but now I come in different. I think they are no, I don't know if they have lost direction, or the families are part, or the pressure of living is very different.
So, the fact that you were from Mexico,
Yeah.
how did that affect your career as you were going?
I really, my personal opinion, the Mexicans have to work twice as hard as the Americans, because I was a good salesman and somebody was promoted. And I didn't like that. But my boss said, listen, sometimes you have to eat shit and go with the flow. don't fight the system. Go with the flow. Because at the bottom line, the companies, what they see is profit. But it's a lot of politics. Because when I don't mention the company, the big boss, he never invited me for lunch alone. He invited when I have my agents. And I remember one time he came to see me and he said, you know, this guy who won the Treviño, the golf, he was a good Mexican. He's like you. And I said, I hate to tell you, but if I have to give you a raise, I will give you a raise because the way you dress, because in New York you dress perfect. You have to dress for the occasion. And we used to train our salesman. One time we were with New Farm, and we went to Laredo, Texas, and the guy who said, "How can we train people like you?" I said, "Very simple. We cross the border, take away the wallets, and then you have to come back in the next 2 hours with $50 in your pocket." That's it. People go, they sell the watches, the shirt, anything. This is what survive. Some people don't know how to do it.
So you mentioned sending or lending money to 12 students. Have you done a lot of working with students over the years?
Yes, I tell you, my wife is very good with that too. We bought several houses, and my wife bought that house. We didn't have windows, nothing, and we succeeded. Everybody think that we were crazy. At the beginning, I thought, I don't want to live over there. It's a monster house. But I really think that in life you have to take chances. Even right now, I don't know where I'm going now because all my friends are dying. All my friends, you cannot take care of yourself no more. I now talk in Oklahoma State about the place for retirement people. I have a place over here called View Minor, and you get to the point in life that you have the place where to go. You cannot take care of yourself no more. My wife, she has been active all his life, but she has arthritis, she's anemic, and I have to do my exercise every day because my back, and now I have my ears, and I told my doctor, I would like for you to give me a shot of Viagra and steroids every month. They gave me one for the hay fever. I could not sleep for 2 days. Your mind go crazy. And you think about all the places that you have been. Why? And you talk to other people and say, I don't dream. You don't dream. And I said, half of my life has been dreaming.
So you mentioned that you said people have to take risks. What's the biggest risk you've taken?
I think the biggest risk is one time I went to Ivory Coast and I didn't have passport. I didn't have a visa. And I have this guy, Gilles Dangla. He was a very good guy, French. He said, no, don't worry. And I think they took away my passport. And I gave the guy $50. And next day, I come back, they give me my passport. But if you don't get a passport, you're dead. And another time, flying from Uganda, the same. I didn't have a visa for Uganda. And the guy said in the morning, where is my passport? Oh, hell, it's in the office. And the office is about 45 minutes and the plane is leaving in an hour. So I have to get a car and I have to tell the guy, I've got $50 in the taxi to go all the way. If you get a ticket, I pay you and come back. We went to the main place in Douala, in Uganda, to get my passport, come back and get on the plane.
And why did you go to these two places?
Because I have to sell my product and coffee or tomatoes, I have to go, and I didn't have my visa. Because if you travel during the weekend, the embassies are closed. And my agents, sometimes they are crazy too. And the other time, it was in El Salvador. I went to El Salvador, and in that time, it was the revolution. And I used to have a good agent, Gabriel Montenegro, a very influential guy. And I took my weight watch, and it was a Timex, something maybe $60, $70. I told the guy in immigration, listen, you keep the watch and you close your eyes, and I'll be back in 2 hours. We went over there, we signed the contract and come back, and you said, you keep the watch. This is it. And also, what people don't realize, like when I was in El Salvador, you go on the roads and you see people dead on the side of the road. And they say, what the hell? They say, well, we keep it over there to scare the terrorists. And this way, they say, they have to scare them. And I never felt bad in El Salvador, never.
What years were this?
That was in 1968 to 74, 75. And I remember another time in Nicaragua. We used to go, all the places where they have revolutions, remember, they have to eat. They have coffee, they have cotton, they have cocoa, and they have to sell it. And they kicked my agent. It was McGuire. They kicked him out because he was a gringo, so they kicked him out from the revolution. So I went to the company ProAgro. It was the company who buy the products for the farmers in Nicaragua. And I went to the office. I couldn't believe it. They have the picture of Jesus Christ in the back over here. The right was the picture of John F. Kennedy, and in the left side was the picture of Lenin. Why do you think they have those things? Because they think that if you are a Christian, you are good. And John F. Kennedy, he was he was the best salesman in Latin America. They love that guy. And Lenin, he said, because he gave us opportunity socialist. And after the guy, he said, have you ever shot an M16? No. Well, let's go in the back. But shoot a rifle. But you get an order. You have to do those things with a film. And that really blew my mind. And everybody is the same. Really, it's the same. And as long as everybody likes you, or you do favors for people, everything moves. Another time, we used to go to Tanzania and Ethiopia. In those days, it was the third world countries. Remember the Cold War. And I remember one time we were in Tanzania, and I'm in a stable like here, and it was only beans or rice, and this is all what you eat because the restaurant, and it was a first class hotel, but they're controlled. The next guys over there, they said to me, are you CIA? I said, no, I'm not CIA. I am an agricultural advisor. I sell pesticides and everything. Oh God, I like you because we're agricultural advisors too. You want to share vodka with us? So John Kister and myself, we went over there and we have a shot of vodka and have supper with them. But they were doing the same. But the Russians, they were trying to sell communists, but also they give the farmers rifles and they try to give them a little bit fertilizer, but they try to make them more socialist. And the Americans, we were trying to give them fertilizer, seeds, and education, but everything got together. And the Peace Corps were fantastic. The Peace Corps were the best. I wish we could have more people like that. But now people are afraid, they don't want to go.
Were you ever involved in the Peace Corps?
Yeah, I was involved with the Peace Corps in Peru. I was involved with the Peace Corps in Guatemala. We were involved in Bolivia. And we give them samples. And they give it to the poor people, the farmers. Yeah.
So you were supplying these people from the Peace Corps so they could then...
Yeah. But you see, because my object was to promote my product so the people feel it and they know it. And after, in Africa, and we start to sell it that way, we make it in 50-gram sachets. And everybody thought that we were crazy. But that was the way, because you put one sachet in the back sprayer, And those people work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock with a backpack. I cannot do it no more. I used to have 3 of those backpack sprayers over here. I cannot do it no more. And those people do. And I never remember one lady, her name was Charlotte Garfield. She's another immigrant from Germany. I met her in Tanzania. And Tanzania, it was a big business. You were talking 28 million, $40 million business. And she go to the 5th floor of the hotel, pick up the sprayer, threw it to the floor, pick it up, fill it up with water, and spray. They said, this goddamn machine doesn't break under the most tough conditions. You need to buy this. I never forgot. I never forgot. Because, this is the way you sell in the third world countries. And so many adventures that it's hard to believe, And like I said, we used to fly Concorde sometimes, because everything was so fast. I go to Douala or Cameroon, have dinner with the Minister of Agriculture or the people over there, and still I keep in touch with Dr. Bunji, who was the director of the Agricultural Department. Still we communicate. And I took the plane, went back, I took the Concorde, and we went to Paris, and after that in Paris I saw my agent, Calliope, and the agent, we come back to the World Trade Center and in those days, in 1961, only shale, oil, Sumitomo, they have internal communications that you could call the country without the help of the operator. And I remember when we were in Paris and in New York, Delta, you push the telephone and you talk to the agent in Australia. And they say, what is the price of urea? What is the best price that you can get for urea? And after, they call Indonesia. What is the latest price over there? And after they call, the other guy called, they call Brazil. What is the price of urea or the insecticide? And after we compare the prices, what we're talking today, marketing information. And after they said, what do you think is the price going to be? And after he said, well, I'd say this price, what are the rebates that we have to give? So much. So it's a deal, it's a deal. Okay. And after, I remember one time, I called J. Wilson, the guy from Canada, about 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock. And I said, are you crazy? He said, no. He said, the tender is going to be closed tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It's going to be 700 tons in bulk. We're talking $5 million. And we have to be sure that everybody play the game. So we get that share, competition get the other place, but everything is okay. And then the guy who said, you do whatever you want to, but I never hear that conversation. I don't even know you. You go ahead. This is the way. It's so fast, and people don't realize.
So going back, you came from Mexico to the United States for college and then started working. Did you become a citizen?
Yeah, I become a citizen. But remember, when I cross the border, this is what sometimes I get upset. When I crossed the border the first time, the first time was so easy because the student. Second time, they have to put in the New York Times for the unions to say, we are going to hire this person, these are the qualifications, and if the unions have somebody like that, they apply and you are behind. Luckily, nobody has something like me, entomology degree, agronomy, Spanish-speaking country. And I went by myself to Laredo, I crossed the border, and I went to Monterrey Bay. And I have all my papers ready. You have to have the blood test. You need to fill it out a question that you are not communist, and they don't ask you that you are not homosexual, that you have not committed adultery, that you don't have a social disease, and you have to bring your blood test. So you hang it in your neck with a coat. So when I went to the American Embassy, I told the guys that I have to be September the 1st, and it was already July or something. They start laughing. They said, we have about 10,000 people ahead of you. It's going to be at least 7 months or a year, so you're out. You better get a part-time job over here. I was so upset. And when I went out of the American Embassy, he come an old friend of mine, the coach from Monterrey Tech, my basketball coach, worked in the embassy. And I tell him what happened. He said, well, can you? He said, this is true. You're in the shit house. I said, my wife, I want to get married in Joplin next week, and after I have to go to New York. And after I told the guy, you know, if you do me a favor, I said, I have money in Oklahoma. I can write you a check, and it's good. I give you $250. And he said, okay, I'll do whatever I can do. Next day, that night, I called my wife because I said, you have to have a college degree, you have to have a job, you have to be clean, and you have to swear that you are not communist or left wing. So I have signed those. But if you have an American wife, it gives you a preferential thing. So I called my wife at night, and I said, Alice, you better come to Laredo, because that will help. And she took the bus Greyhound to Laredo. That afternoon, I had dinner with my football coach, and he said, I think I can help you, and he put my papers on the top. I was the second day they mentioned in the bulletin. I am in. My wife is coming in the Greyhound bus. So I went to change my shoes, and I never forgot, I went to the Catholic church, and my wife, a Baptist, I went to the Baptist church, and they said, how much do you charge for a wedding? I never forgot that, 1995. Why 1995? And the Baptist the same. Oh shit. And after, when I changed my shoes, I told the guy, where did you get married over here? How can you afford to get married? He said, my cousin is a judge, and he can marry you for $350. Let's go to meet your cousin. So I met a cousin, I paid him, I called my wife. Next day, my wife arrived at 11 o'clock. I have my blood test, Alex had her blood test. We got married in 20 minutes.
What year was this?
1961, July 22nd. But I have to cross the border illegally because my papers were in Monterrey.
So was that?
So I told my wife, legally we are not married because my papers were over there, so I'm not legally married to you. So we got married in no time at all. So the next day we took my Greyhound bus to Monterrey. The second day we spent over there. I went to the embassy. They have my papers ready.
So how long after graduating from OSU was this?
Come in.
How long after graduating from OSU was this?
Oh, I got married. I got graduated from Oklahoma May 28th, and I got married July 22nd. And by July 28th or August the 1st, I have my passport and everything ready. And after we came to Joplin, and I didn't have driver's license. Alice had a car, a Mercury, beautiful car, 52, no tank. We drove with no insurance, and I don't have driver's license. And we went to New York, no problem. And we stayed, I never forgot, in the Tudor City Hotel next to the United Nations. And it was $16 a night. So And they give me a week to find a house. And I told my wife, I think we should go to New Jersey because it's cheaper. No, no. I want to live in Connecticut. I like Connecticut because there's no a bunch of bull. So we went to Connecticut and we found an old house, but it was 2 floors. And the lady who lived in the first floor was a retired lady, divorced. And she said, yeah, but you can rent this place for $395 or something like that. So I tried to chisel them a little bit, I don't have much. So we got a place. We went back to Connecticut. The next day we couldn't find Connecticut. It was Wilton, Connecticut. It was a beautiful town, beautiful place, but expensive. But it was a good experience, and I commute from Wilton to New York every day. And I commute for 12 years, and it's funny. When you commute, this is what I have that picture over here. In 12 years, you never talk to the next guy to you, never. You read the paper. When you go to New York, you read the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. When you come back, you read the daily news to see what the hell is about it. And you do your homework and take a nap. On Friday, you get a beer for 50 cents a dollar. You have a beer, and you have put your attaché case. You're happy. But the trains always leave on time, but never arrive on time. They're always late. And my wife, like I said, I give her credit because she picked me up for 1 year. And the second year, we moved to a better place because it was too far away. We moved to South Norwalk. It was better, but it's not the same. A Mickey Mouse house, 2 bedrooms, and I have 3 kids. I mean, not 2 kids. I didn't have Michael. And the kids were fantastic. They were alone. I feel sorry for them. But in New York, you don't talk to the next guy. You have to read that. And I remember one time, it came a friend of mine, and he said, you have to let me in advance that you're coming because we have schedules. You just kind of here, I'm here. And when people used to come to my house in Connecticut, sometimes I used to put a timer for half an hour, and you have to go home because we have to eat supper, watch Johnny Carson, 11 o'clock go to bed, 5 o'clock you get up, and you have to control your system. Because you go in the train, it was a train, horrible. Sometimes the air condition works, sometimes they don't work. And it's shitty. At one time, I broke my leg commuting. And nobody in the train stopped to help you. Nobody. Finally, the conductor, he said, what happened to you? I said, oh shit, you broke your leg, but I'm sorry, we have to leave. I'm calling the police, they come and pick you up. So the police came up and picked me up, take me to the emergency room. There were about 6, 7 people in line. And the leg from my wheelchair fall down, so I'm with my good leg in the floor and the back leg in the top. And they came 2 guys, they put a wheel, they kick it, and it's okay. So I was telling the doctor what happened. He said, oh shit, your brain has been damaged. I don't believe your story at all. And after, he take a cigar and smoke in the emergency room in Norwalk. And after he said to the next girl to me, hey honey, after I fix this stupid commuter, I'm going to Florida for a weekend. You want to come along? This is the real world of America. People don't believe me, but this is America. There were some wackos, but how a person like me get involved with those wackos? Because I am one of them. And you have to, I really think that you have to know people to see what is going on.
So, in your time in the United States, have you worked with communities of Mexican Americans or
Yes.
Latinos?
I got involved when my Catholic priest One is a Mexican, Daniel Robles. I used to have another guy, but all those Catholic priests, they finished in the cuckoo farm because too much pressure. And my sister Francine, I love my sister Francine. I work in Web City to promote English and help the Mexicans to get a job. And I brought the Mexican Council over there 3 times. And the first time they gave 169 passports or visas because most of the Mexicans, they have no driver's license, they don't have birth certificates, they don't have driver's license. And we started teaching Gringo 101. It's a book that you teach with pictures. Don't worry about the grammar. One picture is about supermarket, the other picture is going to see a doctor, the other picture is about a mechanic, and I worked in the community clinic for about 3 years, and I give you reports, you have over there reports and the papers. And but for one reason or another, the Mexicans and the community don't get together. And also, you have a report over there that I sent to the governor. I have a picture with the governor, Mr. Canahan. And I went with him to Chile, Brazil, Argentina, and he made me director for financial advice from Missouri. And I love the guy, but he died in a plane accident. If he had been alive, I would be working for him because he cared about the people. He cared. At that time, we were selling the satellites for Latin America and the M16 and college education and vegetables, corn from Missouri. And this is what I really think that I'm involved with NAFTA. Also, I was become the director for the agricultural division of Missouri because Mexico is probably number 2 or 3. Canada is number 1, Mexico is number 2. They passed already Japan. And I have the Mexican Council with Missouri Southern, and they were going to offer 6,000 scholarships for Mexican Americans. You should meet the Mexican Council in Kansas City. But the condition is that if you finish college over here, you have to go to Mexico for 2 years because Mexico has close to 6,200 plants. If you go to Monterrey, Guadalajara, Saltillo, and MCI over here has the biggest warehouse in Laredo, Texas. And it's a big future. But like I said, it's the communications, and I went to the Mexican Commission, and I told them what we have to do is talk one-to-one basis with your state representative. I went to Washington with Roy Blunt and talk about that, and I have been for 2 years. I was in Jefferson City every year. But you have to talk, how are we going to get working permits for the Mexicans here? The Mexicans do not want social labor, they don't want food stamp. All what they want is chance to work. And once that you work, you pay your taxes and get your driver's license. Right now, I told to Steve McIntosh, he's a Roy Blunt right hand for Joplin. He said, I would like to take you to Laredo, Texas, and we cross the border illegally in 2 days, so I can show you how it is done. He said, no, I'm afraid that you'll never bring me back. No, I have to bring you back. And I said, no, it's so simple. Maybe I should not talk about this thing, but you can cross the border. If you buy $7,000-8,000 right now, you cross the border 10 o'clock in the morning in a van. If you pay less than $3,000, you pass other ways. I don't tell you right now, but you pass. And if you want to buy a fake driver's license, you can buy one for $5,000 or $3,000 or less. And when we have the Mexican Council, we have so many people from Guatemala, they are Mexicans. And I say, where are you from? What is the name of the city? What is the name of the capital? The little short guys. This is going on. A lot of people from Central America, they think they are Mexicans because they said it's easy to cross the border.
So what years were you involved with the Missouri Commission?
What?
What years were you involved with the Missouri Commission?
2 years ago. And with the Catholic Church, I was involved with them about 10 years ago. You have papers in the newspaper over there, and they tell you everything. And I have 4 pages how we should do it in America. Because America needs working class people. And the average American don't like to cut the grass, they don't like to fix the roofs. I was teaching that first I want to be a welder. When I came to the United States, I want to go to Alaska because they were paying $19 an hour. That was big money. And I learned how to weld. And but I didn't like those kind of people. And I really think that the welding, roofing, I'm pushing that the technical school, they should buy an old house and the kids or the people teach them how to put it together and we sell it and they give the profit to the kids. And I have a couple of Mexicans and a lot of people, they want subsidy. For one reason or another, don't quote me, but people learn a lot of bad habits in California. Like, I don't believe that you should have a kid because if you have a kid, you get subsidy from the government and they give you money every month. I will not have a kid because of that reason. And I will not have more kids. Like in Canada, the more kids you have, less taxes you pay. But Canada is 34 million people. America is 330. And I really think that the technical school, they should get more involved. But this is my philosophy. You have a report that I sent to the governor and to the commission over here. And I think the future of NAFTA is great, but you have to really get people dedicated to improve the Mexicans or improve the relations with the United States.
So what's the thing that you're most proud of for working with Mexicans?
I think for me is the satisfaction I get because when I came to this country, I would have never succeeded like the guy who allowed me to stay in his house the first night. God, it's amazing. And the police picked me up. They didn't take me to jail or anything. And when the guy in Oklahoma lent me the money, and when I worked in Oklahoma State in the cafeteria, everybody was friendly. And everybody mixed. But I didn't see too many freeloaders like I see sometimes now. I have a kid over here living in one of my cabins, about, say 23 years old, have borrowed already $60,000 going to school, and he lost his job. And he went back to St. Louis because they closed his job with I think Federal Express. And I really think that people who work for the subsidy, I think it's horrible. I think you should be help people, but not forever. And try to find out what is the talent of those people. I think I made a comment the other day that didn't went very smooth. The Catholic Church is losing a lot of those people because now you have all those people. After 6 months, you become a minister, and they have Mexicans working over there, and they don't teach them English. They don't teach them customs. This is what I think that in a certain way, politics and the relations and even the Chamber of Commerce has to get involved with those people.
How did you first learn about customs when you came to the United States?
Excuse me?
How did you first learn about customs when you came to the United States?
Well, I think that my father and my cousin never want to come to the United States. My father, he said, I think you are crazy. And I have another friend of mine, my cousin, who has a son, and to them he said, swear by your mother that you are never going to invite my son or my daughters to the United States. I don't want to lose them. I have another guy from Argentina. I tried to get him a scholarship to go to school over here, and the mother told me the same. I don't want my daughter to come to the States. It's how do you feel yourself? My friend from Mexico, they think I'm crazy living over here. He said, you're living like an average Joe Blow. Over here, you will have a butler, you will have a maid. You don't have to do a damn thing. Why do you have to do all those shits? My father and my father never went to come to the States. My uncle came to the United States during the Revolution, and he stayed for 2 years and married a Mexicano, and he became big shot in Mexico. But my father never wanted to come. And there's a lot of people who, they don't want to come. It's how do you feel about things?
But how did you get involved, or how did you learn to do things in the United States?
Necessity, and sometimes my wife. My wife get involved with everybody, but my wife is a different, you're going to meet her today, but I really think that my bosses in New York were a big factor. All were immigrants. And they came and they make a success of life, and they push people. Not push it, but they want to make the best of the people. And I always want for my kids to go to West Point, because West Point for me is the headquarters of the United States. And I remember we went to see a game, Oklahoma State and West Point, and we went to the chapel, and we went to the classes, and I talked to the kids, and I saw the parade, and I went to the chapel, I sit down, and after I touched the plaque of Eisenhower and MacArthur, I got the goosebumps. And everybody helped each other in West Point. My kid had a chance to go to West Point. He was All-America, Gary, my second kid, he was All-America in high school. He was a natural. He was defensive back, and he got a chance to go to West Point and Colgate, and he was number 5 in her class, the top of the 10. They invited him to Washington, D.C., and he said, I don't want to go. I want to go to Aspen. I like to ski. And I teach the kids, I bought them a ski for these kids. I grabbed him by the neck and threw it against the couch. I said, you are crazy. If you go to West Point, you never have to worry. And he said, I'm sick and tired of people telling me what to do since I was 12 years old, because he had been playing football, Little League. And I used to push my kids in Little League because I like baseball, but they play football, and I support them. And after he said that, I said, you go wherever you want to go to college, but if you need me, come back. But we make a deal. I give you 50% to go to college. The other 50 you have to work, and you have to make 2.5 or 3 hours. And after, when he was a senior, he said, I want to take a semester off because I like to ski. When he finished college, I have a chance to get him a job with Shell or with a big oil company. He said, no, I want to go to Colorado, Ventura, with my friend, and we are going to paint ghetto houses. And he never wanted to work for a big company. My second kid, Larry, I got him a job with Silverberg because they were my agents. And I told my friend, listen, I have a kid who is a biology major, and I think he will be a good kid to work for your company. So he hired him. 3 years later, they fired my friend, and they make president my son. And after Shell Oil bought Silverberg, and they make my son the president of Shell Agricultural Division. And after my son, he said, you know what? My boss is retired from Shell London. You have to hire him. So I hired his boss to work for me for 5 years in China. You know, everything is communications. You help people, you have to pay something.
Let's go back to what year was it that you went to go watch West Point against Oklahoma State?
It was in 1961 because I was new in Connecticut and I was in favor of Oklahoma State all my life. However, about in 1975 or 72, I dropped. Why? They have in Good Morning America, I think he was the fullback from Oklahoma State, and he became our congressman from Oklahoma, and he dropped off college. And after, in Good Morning America, they used Oklahoma State as a punchline. Why is school going down? He said, you know, the coach from Oklahoma State is making $200,000 or $197,000, and the director of science or engineering only makes 67, and he has no private plane. And I don't know what, I dropped Oklahoma State at that time.
What do you mean by dropped Oklahoma State?
I didn't become no more member of OSU. I was out. And after I met my friend Richard Price, who was my teacher in entomology, and he worked for Shell Oil in New York too, but he didn't like New York. He went back to Shell, South Carolina, and he went back to Oklahoma State, and he retired from Oklahoma State. And we become friends, and he came to see me, and I fixed his honeymoon, I fixed it and questioned his lodge, free, or half price. But it's how do you communicate with people? You help me, I help you. And my wife sometimes has a hard time with that, because I told her, you know, if I invite you for lunch 2-3 times, you have to invite me at least one. You cannot have all the time lunch free. You have to, and this is really upset me sometimes.
And so have you worked with Oklahoma State since then?
Excuse me?
Have you worked with Oklahoma State since that?
Well, I have been working with them, and like I said, I am planning to help them with a scholarship, and still I'm talking about selling this corner, and I have been talking about a scholarship, but I met this guy, I think it's Steve Kurto. Oh, I give you his name. He came to see me and we clicked. He's a very nice guy. And he went to Oklahoma State, but he's about 6 years behind time. And I'm trying to convince all the Harley Reno, who was a big shot with Exxon and environmental. He, for one reason or another, he said they don't allow him to talk in Oklahoma State. And he was an Indian. He went to school free in Oklahoma. And I said, you need to come back. But I've met a lot of people now from Oklahoma State here in Joplin. 2 or 3 people that I think would be good to have all those people together, how we can help the Mexicans, Americans, to make this place a better country. Because I see a lot of changes.
What kind of changes?
And I tell you, I used to love the senator from Oklahoma, Cadburn. I love that guy. He was a straight shooter, but now he's gone.
So, what are your dreams or vision for the future?
God, that is a tough question because I don't even know myself. I tell you, I worry that I am 78 years old. I cannot take care of myself. I have been talking to help senior citizens now. I am a volunteer in the new hospital, Mercy Hospital, Joplin. God, it's beautiful. It's $900 million project. It's the best. And also we have the science building, and I am pushing that especially Mexicans who want to be doctors or have to be nurses is the place to go, and is the future, because it's so much money in Obamacare. And if you look Oklahoma State, next to the stadium, they have this physical therapy center where they take care of the athletes and they take care of the astronauts, they take care. We have a population, I said, the average is 50 years old, and they are not going to get younger, like the meeting that we saw today. It's getting old, and we have an old population that cannot take care of themselves. My next neighbor is 86, my secretary is 86. They used to walk, they have to be very active, and I'm pushing that we should get a dog tag. They know your citizenship, your medicine, your records, who are you. So if I collapse, like my wife collapsed, they just come and they take you to the emergency and they revive you. I don't want to be revived. I want to die. I don't want to be crippled in a bed for the rest of my life. But for one reason or another, the hospitals don't communicate. And this will be a good punchline for Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State is so advanced in the astronaut science and therapy that I think will be great.
Is there something that you, if you were standing in front of the current Hispanic students at Oklahoma State, is there something you would tell them?
No, I would like to talk to them, because I really think that, like I said, I really believe that NAFTA, I was born and raised in Mexico, and I worked with the Missouri Department of Agriculture. We went to Monterrey, we went to Torreon, and there are so many factories. And you have to motivate those kids to go to Mexico and become a plant manager or become bilinguals, because that is the answer. Labor in Mexico, I think, is cheaper now than in Japan. When I was consultant for a company over here, I looked Mexico, because if you buy a product in China, it's going to take 6-7 weeks to bring it over there. It's going to take 2-3 weeks to send the order. And if you do it in Mexico, you can deliver the product in 48 hours from door to door. And this is what I like CFI. CFI, for me, is a fantastic company that we should get involved with Oklahoma State or with the local university transportation. They have CFI. When I had my Japanese council, the Taiwanese council, and the Mexicans, I took them over there. They have a war room, and every day is the weather. He was the first guy who put fax machines and telephones in the truck, and he went first year to Oklahoma State. You have to meet that guy, Brown. But he said, I dropped because I didn't have the money and my parents were poor. And he became a truck driver. Now, President Bush came over here to open the building. But they have this room, and it's a war room, and they know everything about the truck driver. They know how many miles, how many accidents, and how much profit that pension made. If you make profit, you are in. And if you are underweight, you don't have overweight, that you don't have to pay health insurance. And he talked to the driver like he talked to his son. And this is what we need. Companies and people from Oklahoma State encourage those kids. I'd be glad to talk to those kids. I'd be glad to go there, or you bring them over here. because I was involved with Pittsburgh University with the technical center. He was Chinese. We went to Taiwan, we went to China, how we develop business with those people. And they have maybe 260 foreign students from China. And over here, I don't believe that we have more than 20 Mexicans, but we have 129 from Saudi Arabia. Why?
So, to finish this out, could you explain for me or for the camera the most important or the most meaningful event in your life?
This is a $64,000. I think I am lucky that God gave me a chance to come to the United States, because it's very easy. I have to say no. Like my best friend, he chickened out the last moment. And also I was very lucky to find these people in Oklahoma that helped me and encouraged me. And of course, I hate to tell you this, I give credit to my wife, because she followed me wherever I go. She followed me. A lot of people don't follow the husband. When I went to Mexico, beach bomb, he never said no. Let's go to try. Let's go to try. When I bought the convenience store, even my brother-in-law, he thought I was crazy. He said, "You are banquero. You never go up." When I talked to my lawyer we have over here, he said, "It's a good place, but you could never make money. It's only make a living." And after I met another guy, Larry Hickey. He's another good guy who brought FHG, the German company. He said, "It's a good company, but you have to make the best." I really think if you are happy where you are, and if your wife encourages you, and your kids, I'm lucky, I never worry too much about my kids. And like I said, I have been blessed with my wife and the kids, because I never worry about those kids. They raised hell, but you know, I remember we talked every night what was going on. And when I used to have people from overseas, I bring it to my house. When I have the Taiwanese ambassador or Japanese, they came to my big house, and we have a party, and I brought the teachers from the school, and everybody has to say 5 minutes who you are, how can we help each other. And everybody loves it, but people don't do it. I don't know why. Like these people that we saw today, you have to communicate, tell them what you want. And I love it. And I have so many experience that it's spooky. Like one time I was flying the Concorde from Paris to New York, and in those planes, everybody's the casual rich, nobody dressed to kill. Everybody know that you have money. And the next guy, because there's only one person in aisle, the next guy, he said, "I have a headache, I don't feel good." And she asked the lady for an aspirin. He said, "No, we cannot give you medicine." So I said, "Well, I have Tylenol, I have an aspirin here." I give her the guy one. So we become friends. And after, when I get to New York, he come in limousine. He was a prince from Saudi Arabia, give me a ride to the hotel, you know. How those things happen, you know? And another time I have a drink with General Westmoreland, and the plane flying from Holland to New York. And I said, "Oh my God, I want to congratulate you. All you have done in Vietnam is great. And we have a drink together." Why? Another time I was in Rio, and I saw Sally Fields and Michael Caine across the aisle. So I told the bartenders, "Do me a favor, give them a drink on me." I said, "We love people like you." So they came back, said, "Shake hand." Why? Because I don't know, it's something that I really think that good salesmen are like the dogs. You have a sixth sense. My cat or my dog, they know who is good and who is bad. I used to have a dog. Somebody come, he go crazy. He want to kill you. Why? Another guy come from China, he kiss his hand. Why? I really think that you get that instinct in the schools and in your teachers. This is what I really feel that the teachers should get involved with the teachers helping these kids. And it's very difficult because I myself, I have some people that, oh my God, I cannot handle those people because they are so arrogant. And my boss, Dr. Stoner, he was a nice guy. He said, I don't understand. You talk to all the shit people. Nobody said nothing to me because you don't open your mouth. You know? And this is the thing that I have met so many people important, and like I said, I would like to write the names all those people, like Westmoreland and Michael King, Shirley Temple. I met her in Ghana, and my mother used to love Shirley Temple. I have to see all the stupid movies of Shirley Temple. And I met her in Ghana, shake hands, because we do business with the government. And after I met Negro Ponte. He was ambassador in Honduras and in Nicaragua and all that thing. And after I met him in Vietnam, because we were making business with Vietnam, and our company was actual, so we were in the top of the list. And you tell that we want to do business with your country and thank you for what you have done. And you send a postcard and said thank you very much. And you have to follow up. Like today, that's what the meeting, you have to follow up. You have to connect with the customer. And I used to have 3 files, all the people that I met in my life. And I learned that from John F. Kennedy. He said, you have to meet all those wacko people you have in the business card, who they are, and how can you use the talent for your personal ideas. I used to have that. And about 6 months ago, I put only big file and burn it. Because I only have now the selected people, very few. Everybody is gone. And I think we have to teach that to the new Mexican American. Like my son Michael. Michael is 46 years old. They took Spanish 4 years in high school. They took it in college, but they don't practice because the mother is American, and I don't care. But they talk to everybody. You can leave the guys alone and shit. They know everybody because it's communication. It doesn't matter what is your race or where are you from. And like when I used to go in Brazil or Ecuador, or I remember Brazil or Ecuador, I used to tell the taxi driver, why don't you take me to a local place where you go where they sell local food and I buy your food. And we go over there. And I never was afraid that I was going to get kidnapped. And they loved me. And after one time, I remember in Guatemala, the taxi driver took away my luggage over there and gave me a kiss. And my boss started, he said, oh shit, you are not telling me that. What the hell you do with those people? He said, you have to give them tips and be social. They love people who talk. Because some people are born in hell. And like I said, I have an article, why do I like masks? Because some people are so poor, they live for today or tomorrow. Tomorrow they may die. And they live for today. And like the kids, I don't think that any of the kids in America has changed shoes for a living. That is a profession in Mexico. And to sell popsicles is a profession. And like I said, to be a salesman, it doesn't matter where you are. all my friends were doctors. They went to school as a medicine. And I always that was my first idea. I want to be a doctor, but because my neighbors, all kids, want to be doctors. But in those days, the profession, you go to the army, you were an engineering, you were a lawyer, or you start your own business. And I never forgot when I was in Oklahoma State, you have a chance to take shorthand or typing. And all my friends over there, oh hell, you said, only the tutti fruities take that class. You should take a slide rule, you should take some kind of science, forget that stupid thing. But you said, now, typing is a way of life. When I work in New York, I always have a secretary, and after I have a private secretary. That was great. But I don't know, when I travel, I have a notebook. In the back, all your expenses, how much money you spend. In the front, I have all the people, the country. What was my experience, sunshine, what kind of person I met, what was the prices, and you have to repeat prices one more time to be sure no mistake. And now people don't type notes. I don't know. Like the guy we're talking today, they keep the calendar over here or the note. And you're driving the car, I don't answer the telephone because I cannot handle the car on the telephone and changing the radio. What else can I tell you more? I can tell you so many things. And but I tell you something. I have a friend over here, he's a doctor, and I love him, Dr. Patterson. And we were talking about that before, and I said, will you change your life to be something different? He said, no, I will do the same. I will do the same. I will never change it. I will do exactly the same. I think selling in America is no place. This is where I get upset. People take this. Oh God. People take this country for granted. Really, they take it for granted. And it's the best place to live, but you have to make it the best. But I will never change my life. I told my wife I may kill her and collect insurance, but I don't want to go to jail. I have to be perfect. But really, it's fascinating because I tell you, this country has everything, but it's changing very fast. I can tell you more after we stop talking about it. I really think we have to keep it the best and keep going. People ask me if I want to run for politics like a representative, and I told them I would love to run for a state representative, but I need to have a paper sack with $30,000 because I'm not going to play with my poker money. It's very dangerous. Politics is very dangerous, but it's the way of life, and I love it. But it's like a religion. You love it and you hate it. Yeah. What other questions you may have? I don't know.
That's it for now.
I know, but like I tell you, if you have chance, you have to go to Branson. I tell you, when I have people from Japan, the Germans, I take it to Branson. They say, oh my God, they say, we love it over here. The people from Japan, my agent Nagase, when I retired, I couldn't believe it. They came to say goodbye over here. And they said, we want to give you this picture or something, and we want to thank you for what you have done for our company. But they were my agents for 3 years. And after they asked me, we have a very young, bright kid. He has a degree in agricultural chemistry, and we want for him to be a third world salesman like you. We would like to send it to you for 3 months in the summer, so you can tell him all what you have to do. So they did. And I teach him how to cook, how to make drinks, how to dress, and I give him a job as a maitre d' in a restaurant. And they give him free meals so you can talk to people. I took him to NOLA to read the papers, and once a week, I take a company from this area, and he has to write a report how his company could do business for that company. Now, after that, they sent it to India for 6 months. He went to China. Now he's the vice president of Nagase in Brazil, running a $500 million company. We have to teach American kids how to do those things. I really think that is the answer. How to survive.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope to see you again.